Hello, friends. Today we'll study a beautiful poem by William Wordsworth, The Daffodils. Stanza one of the poem is I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. This is stanza one of Daffodils. Now, in stanza one, the poet is trying to create a picture, a beautiful picture, where he's imagining himself as a wanderer, one who has set out for a trip, to wander. And he is wandering lonely, alone, and as a cloud. So he is comparing himself with a cloud, similar to a cloud. Now, this is a phrase, a figure of speech used in poetry called a simile, when two unlikely things are compared. They're not the same. They're very different, but they are compared to create imagination. And that's the beauty of poetry, and it is used in poetry principally to create you know a picture of something which ordinary words cannot portray. So the poet here is wandering lonely as a cloud. He is comparing himself to the cloud, which is a simile, a figure of speech that floats high over vales and hills, over valleys and over hills. So he is now moving over valleys and hills. So he's floating. He says he's floating because he's comparing himself with a cloud. So as a cloud, he is floating over valleys and hills. And then what happens? The poet says that he all at once sees a crowd. Now, the crowd usually is of a group of people, but here he is seeing that the crowd he saw was of a host of golden daffodils. Here you will see again a figure of speech which is called as personification. So the daffodils, the beautiful flowers, are being compared to a crowd, a bunch of people. And where does he see these daffodils? Besides a lake and beneath the trees. So you see this, he saw the daffodils besides the lake beneath the trees, and very peculiarly, he is describing them to be fluttering and dancing. Now, both these are things or attributes or actions which humans do. So fluttering is like flying, dancing, we all know dancing is when people are happy they dance. So in stanza one, the poet is wandering lonely as a cloud, comparing himself to a cloud, and as a cloud is floating over the valleys and hills, and then all of a sudden he comes across or sees a host. Host here means many, a lot, a host of golden daffodils spread along a vast area. He sees many golden daffodils, and all these daffodils are, where are they situated? It's besides a lake and beneath the trees, and as if they were trying to dance and fly. That's how the poet sees the beauty of the daffodils. Stanza 2. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle, or the Milky Way, they stretched in never ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. This is stanza 2 of the poem. The poet was overjoyed at the lovely sight of the flowers, tossing their heads and dancing. And in this paragraph, you'll see that there is another simile. as I have already pointed out in my first stanza, in the first stanza of this poem. There's a simile. Another simile here is the daffodils are being compared by the poet with stars. Okay, so they are like stars, stars that shine. So to the eyes of the poet, these daffodils look like stars which were shining, twinkling, twinkling, fluttering, dancing, and so heavenly. It's a beautiful sight, like stars twinkling on the Milky Way over the skies, and stretched in never-ending line. So the vast expanse, the host of flowers, many of them, as if it's a never-ending line. It's never-ending. That's how the poet sees these daffodils along the margin of a bay, that is along the beneath the lake. And 10,000 saw. Now here the poet is using exaggeration, which is a figure of speech called as an hyperbole. By 10,000, it does not mean that he has counted them. What the poet implies or means is that many of them, it's an exaggeration, many, 10,000, many. So he's seeing them at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Again, you'll see this personification of the flowers, daffodils, to humans who are happy and are, dancing. Stanza 3. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in a glee. A poet could not be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the shoe to me had brought. We come to stanza 3, where the poet now is comparing these daffodils, with waves. The waves in an ocean. You all have seen waves in an ocean. So as if they were waves in an ocean, because the breeze that was blowing was actually also moving the flowers, and as if they were waves, and were dancing and looking gleeful, happy. And the scene was extremely beautiful, as the poet could see with his own eyes. And they were waves. They looked like waves. Again, you'll see them, the comparison, the simile. They're comparing the daffodils with waves. How did the sparkling waves in glee? Happily, they're sparkling, shining waves. A poet could not but be gay. He was happy. The poet is gay in such a jocund company, in such a happy company. So jocund, happy, it's happy company. And something, I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the shoe to me had brought. So the poet again here is saying that this is wealth. What he's seeing is priceless, and that's comparing it with wealth. In such a happy company, he is gazing at those flowers, and he is feeling as if he has become wealthy. That's the feeling he is. So whatever he's seeing, the scenario before him is of wealth. Next para, last para. For oft when on my coach I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Now, here in this last stanza, the poet says that much later in life, in some other time in future, after he saw all those daffodils, whenever he's lying on a couch, vacant or pensive mode, he's in deep. Whenever he's in deep thought, he recollects that sight. It flashes upon that inward eye. That is, inward eye here is meaning his soul, his inner self, you know, uh, flashes upon, comes as a flash, and a moment, his inner soul sees that scenario, and which gives him bliss, peace, which is nothing but gives him peace of solitude, of being alone and peaceful. So the poet feels the peace, bliss of solitude, peace alone when he's lying on a couch. And then my heart filled with pleasure fills, which gives him immense pleasure, great pleasure. His heart is filled with pleasure. And not just that, in his thoughts, he starts dancing with the daffodils. So that is this beautiful poem. Next time we'll study something else. Hope you've enjoyed the poem. Thank you.